Okay, once again, good morning and welcome to our Shōshinge service. We will begin the service with the chanting of Shōshinge, which is on page 33 of the Purple Service book. And this morning, Leo Sensei and I will be doing the traditional alternating back and forth on the verses when we get to the Wasan. So that's a nice opportunity that we'll have to get to experience that very beautiful Jodo Shinshu ritual tradition. So I welcome you to join us for the chanting of Shōshinge. Namanda Butsu 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 Namanda No. Kyrie
Shutara
기와 모나크 세노묘 테라스나비 나무아미다함브
Nam
At this time, I will share a Dharma message. Namanda butsu, 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 namanda butsu. Namanda butsu, namanda butsu, namanda butsu. Namanda butsu. Please join me in Kansho. Ko hongan rikieko, ido gunjo shōishin, kinyu kudoku dai hokai, hitsugyaku nudai eshushu. Tokushi renge zo sekai, sokusho shinyo hosho jin, yubon no ringen jinzu, nyusho join jionge. Bodhisattva Vasubandhu discloses the mind that is single, so that all beings be saved by Amida's directing of virtue through the power of the primal vow. When a person turns and enters the great ocean, treasure ocean of virtue, necessarily they join Amida's assembly. And when they reach that lotus-held world, they immediately realize the body of suchness or Dharma nature. Then, sporting in the forests of blind passions, they manifest transcendent powers. Entering the garden of birth and death, they assume various forms to guide others. Namanda butsu, namanda butsu, namanda butsu, namanda butsu. These words sound familiar? This was part of the Shōshinge, which we just chanted. So these are the verses. This comes about halfway through. These are the verses on Vasubandhu. And I wanted to talk about these verses this morning for a couple of reasons. One, I always think it's nice when we have our Shōshinge service to explore the meaning of Shōshinge, the meaning of these words that we chant. Also, this specific section of verse, I feel it really talks about what we're doing here this morning. And for me, this still really feels like a really fresh experience to come back into the Hondo and to be here together. And so these verses of Vasubandhu, they describe what we talk about entering into our path of the Dharma, and then how we emerge from that. And Vasubandhu, so these are verses from Shinran Shonin, and they're inspired by the words of Vasubandhu. And it describes kind of five aspects of our lives when we come to Buddhism. The first one is it calls the gate of worship, which means to physically, the physical things we do. This word that's often in English translated as worship means to bow down. And it talks about what we do with our bodies. And so we begin by coming here into the temple, or for some of us, sitting down in front of the computer, switching on the Zoom feed, logging on. But we physically put ourselves into a space where we're ready to hear the Dharma. When we come here into the temple, I noticed many of us, when we came in this morning, we come in, first step into the Hondo, do a little bow, then walk up to the front, right? Do our oshoko, take a pinch of incense, place it here in the incense burner where there's burning incense and charcoals there. We join our hands in Kansho, facing the image of the Buddha, Namanda butsu, Namanda butsu, Namanda butsu, and bow. And then we go back and take our seats. For some of us who are joining on home, perhaps we wake up this morning, we have our home obutsudan. Maybe we light some incense there at the obutsudan. Then we sit down in front of the computer or in the living room or wherever we're joining this, and we've entered into this space. Then the next step that Vasubandhu describes is the gate. He calls the gate of praise, and this is talking about our voices, what we do with our voice, right? To say Namo Amida Butsu, to chant together. Later we'll be doing some readings together. Right? And this voice, this act of what we do with our speech, our voice, this is called coming into the assembly. It's where we come together, because as we do our individual bowing and incense offering, but when we chant, when we sing, we are joining together, right? We hear the voices of others. When we listen, we chant Shōshinge, right? We're listening, and then we're trying to harmonize. There's melody, there's tempo, there's, the pitch, the different tones, and so forth. We're listening to those. We're paying attention as we also say them. And so we're coming together. Then the next stage is called the gate of aspiration. And this is where our minds become focused, right? We come in and then we're perhaps ready to hear a Dharma message. Our mind becomes calm. All those other thoughts that are running, mile a minute, how are the warriors doing? What's happening? I see, nodding his head, right? So we have all these thoughts. Now he's just going to think about warriors for the rest of the service. But we let all that go, and then we open our minds to hear, to receive something. We settle our mind on what is really important. What is really important? These questions, the great questions of our lives. And then with our minds settled open, ready to hear, then we have what's called the gate of contemplation. This is where we come to savor the flavor of the Dharma. We have some insight. Maybe we hear something. We hear a message that sticks with us, that gives us some insight into our lives. Maybe something that we've been kind of struggling with. And then we hear something that, that's the answer to the question I've had. And sometimes those things come in, and it's much later that we have that moment of insight and clarity. But when we make our minds calm, that can come in, right? And then finally, so all of these first four steps, it's coming in, and then they talk about the gate of emerging, going out. We go out into the world, and we're changed by hearing the Dharma, by hearing the teachings, and then we become a different person. And that different person that we become, that then we interact with other people in our lives, and then their lives are transformed and changed too. So this process that Vasubandhu and Shinran Shonin describe, Shinran says, this occurs through the working of the Buddha's vow. The Buddha, Amida Buddha, who we have here, the statue in the center is the Buddha Amida. Amida Buddha made a vow to liberate all beings from suffering. And so that vow works in kind of marvelous ways that kind of exceed our expectations, or that don't operate according to our own agenda. And there's some wonderful examples of this that I'd like to share with you, this way of kind of entering into and then emerging from the Dharma. And one of my favorite examples of this is the story of a thief who lived at the time of Honen Shonin and Shinran Shonin. So Honen Shonin was Shinran's teacher. And so he had a community of people, and this was in Japan, in the 11th century, or the 12th century, rather, kind of late 12th century, early 13th century, long time ago. And Honen welcomed all kinds of people to come into his community to hear the Dharma. And he welcomed men, he welcomed women, he welcomed the people of the aristocratic class, he welcomed common people. All people would welcome, and they would hear this teaching of the Nembutsu, these words, Namo Amida Butsu, that we recite. What does this mean? What is the meaning of these words? People would come to hear this, they would hear this teaching, and then they would go out saying, Namman Dabutsu, Namman Dabutsu. People would say, what is this Namman Dabutsu you're saying? It's, you got to go listen to Honen Shonin. He'll tell you all about it. And so all kinds of people were gathering there. It became to be a very large gatherings. And as I mentioned, some of these people were very, very wealthy. Particularly wealthy, kind of aristocratic ladies would often go and hear Honen's teachings. And they would never go out, without, some money in case they needed to purchase something or, hire, a rickshaw or something to take them home. And so they always had their purses with money. And there was one person who was very, very aware of this. And his name was Mimishiro. Mimishiro was that thief that I mentioned. And so Mimishiro, he would see these ladies wearing their beautiful kimonos, walking through Kyoto, and he would say, I wonder where they're going. He would follow them. And at one point, he followed them all the way to this gathering. He saw, oh my goodness, look at all these people. What a wonderful opportunity. Not an opportunity to hear the Dharma, opportunity to pick some pockets, right? To do some thieving, right? And so he thought, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide here behind this bush, just on the edge of the gathering. And when everybody comes out, and there's a big mix of the crowd, then I'll mingle in with the crowd and I'll be able to, steal lots and lots of money and purses and all kinds of goodies. So Mimishiro was waiting, and he was drawn there. He was brought there by his greed, by his desire to rob people, right? And so, but he comes into the assembly. He's brought in to this gathering, and then he hears the people. Nammam dabutsu, nammam dabutsu, nammam dabutsu. And he hears that, and there's something about these words, nammam dabutsu, hearing this group of people saying the nembutsu together that calms his mind. It's calm, and he hears this, and he finds himself, nammam dabu, nammam dabu. What is this nammam dabu all about? So he waits, and he has this question in his mind, and then he hears Honen Shonin teaching. He hears Honen Shonin sharing the Dharma. And Honen taught the words Namo Amidabutsu are the calling voice of the Buddha. The Buddha who has great compassion for all beings, but particularly deep concern for the wicked, for the foolish, for the greedy, for the angry. The Buddha wishes for all beings to be free. And so this teaching, these words, Namo Amidabutsu, are the voice of the Buddha assuring us that if we let go of our attachments, our thinking of me and mine, if we open our hearts and we entrust in Amida Buddha, that we will be able to realize a life of deep peace of mind. We will be able to realize birth into the world of enlightenment that we call the Pure Land of Amida Buddha. And Mimishiro is listening to this, and he's saying, I've never heard anyone say there was a Buddhist teaching for wicked people. This sounds like this is Buddhism for people like me. I've got to find more about this. And so at the end, when everybody gets up, he's completely forgotten his plan to go out and mingle with the crowd and steal a bunch of purses. And instead, he waits till everybody has gone. And only Honen Shonin and a few of his closest companions in the Nembutsu are there. And Mimishiro approaches him. And he says, I came here today with ill intentions. But you said something. You said something that really struck me. You said that the teaching of Amida Buddha, that Amida Buddha's compassion is for even wicked people. And I'm going to be honest with you right now. I'm a thief. I've even killed people so I could rob their things. He expected Honen Shonin to go, ah! But Honen Shonin remains calm. And Honen Shonin says, I too have a burden of heavy karma. And so I entrust in Amida Buddha. Mimishiro says, wait. So even somebody wicked like me is embraced by Amida Buddha? Honen Shonin assures him, everyone is included. And so Mimishiro then, he comes in with this question, even me too? And he receives this insight, this flavor of the Dharma from Honen, this flavor of the Nembutsu. And then his mind opens and he says, you know what? I've been living my life in the wrong way. He gives up his thieving. He asks Honen, will you accept me and welcome me into your community? May I come and learn this teaching from you? Honen welcomed everyone. So Mimishiro too joined this community of the Nembutsu. He became one of Shinran Shonin's fellow followers of Honen Shonin, fellow students. His name came to be called Kyo Namu Amidabutsu, he who teaches Namo Amida Butsu, who teaches the Nembutsu. So his life is transformed. He goes from harming people every day, just thinking all day long how to hurt people, to thinking about how to help people, how to share the Nembutsu. So he goes out into this world. He comes to be one who sports and plays in the field of birth and death. And so as we hear these words of the Nembutsu, right? It says, Vasubandhu discloses the mind that is single so that all beings be saved. By Amida's directing of virtue through the power of the primal vow, this marvelous working we can't even comprehend. Mimishiro didn't go in there with a plan to become a kind and compassionate follower of the Buddha's teachings. He went in there to hurt people, to cause all kinds of trouble. But through the working of the vow, his life is transformed in that moment. So when a person turns and enters the great treasure ocean of virtue, the vast compassion of Amida Buddha that embraces all beings, necessarily he joins Amida's assembly. And when he reaches that lotus-held world, he immediately realizes the body of suchness or Dharma nature. This is true reality, realizing true reality. And then, sporting in the forests of blind passions, he manifests transcendent powers, right? So, in a kind of playful, joyful way, spontaneous, kind to others, right? Doing things that could never be imagined. Then entering the garden of birth and death, he assumes various forms to guide others, right? So think about Mimishiro, right? He has the form of the thief, and then he becomes the priest, right? But he never forgets that past. And once Honen Shonin, he's talking to Honen Shonin, and he's like, so when I say the Nembutsu, should I go around loud in the street, Namman dabu, namman dabu, namman dabu? And Honen says, seems like you might be showing off there a little bit. He's like, remember when you were a thief? Would you go around telling people you were going to steal their purse? He says, oh, no. Honen says, the Nembutsu is kind of like this. You have your true intention in your heart. You don't need to make a big show of it, right? It just naturally comes out in the life that you live, in your way of being with other people, right? And so let go and allow the other power of the Buddha's compassion to flow through you. And so when we hear these words, Namo Amida Butsu, we receive this way of living, this compassionate voice of the Buddha. So that's what we do. We come together in this way. We come together. We enter this hall. We sing and we chant together. We open our minds to hear these words, Namo Amida Butsu. And in these words, we receive a very profound message, the message of the Buddha's compassion, speaking just for us, just as we are. And so in this way, it's wonderful to come together and to hear the Nembutsu and to hear this voice, Namo Amida Butsu. And having come in here, then we go back out into the world at the end of service, and we carry this transformed heart and mind. We carry this Nembutsu with us out into the world. And in this way, the Buddha's compassion continues to work here in San Francisco or wherever we may be joining on Zoom this morning, or for watching this later on YouTube. Then, throughout the world, the Nembutsu and Amida's compassion continue to be at work, guiding all beings to join in Amida's assembly. So I'll conclude my reflections at this time. Let us join our hands in Gassho and recite the Nembutsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namman Dabutsu. Namman Dabutsu. Namman Dabutsu. Namman Dabutsu. Okay, so next we will have the Vandana Ti-sarana, which is on page 61, 161 of the Purple Book. 167. I stand corrected. I misread on the page. So 167, yes. And so we'll have the Vandana Ti-sarana at this time, and I invite you to join me in the singing. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to him, the exalted one, the enlightened one, the supremely awakened one. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namu Kie Butsu, Namu Kie Ho, Namu Kie So. Namam Davits, Namam Davits. Namam Davits, Namam Davits, Namam Davits, Namam Davits. Okay, now it's time for appreciations. I have so much appreciation for all of you. Much appreciation, as always, for Kevin Yoza, who does so much behind the scenes, literally now, behind the scenes in the back of the Hondo, keeping us all connected. I know many of us are joining us on Zoom this morning. It's wonderful to have all those folks connected, and then some will be able to view this service later on the BCSF YouTube channel. Those who are in different time zones or for whatever reason not able to be connected with us at this time, and very grateful to Kevin for all of his support. Very grateful to Elaine Sensei and Leo Sensei for their assistance and getting everything kind of up and running this morning as well. And I know I'm overlooking somebody, so let me know if there's other folks who deserve recognition this morning. I think we're good. Okay, great. And then it's time for announcements. Do we have any particular announcements that we would like to share this morning?
You can announce there's a BWA meeting at 11:30 today.
That sounds great. Will that be here in the Hondo?
Here and online.
Okay, so today at 11:30 we'll be having a meeting of the BWA, Buddhist Women's Association, and that will be for those who are here in person. Members of the Buddhist Women's Association, you're welcome to stay for that meeting and join the meeting here in the Hondo. For those who are our BWA community who are joining us online, we welcome you to log on to Zoom, and BWA members have the Zoom link for that. Okay, so if you're a BWA member, you can join that one on Zoom, or come and stay in person, and we'll be. Or if you're not here yet, you can get here by 11:30. We'll have us here, and great. Let's see. I think that covers it. Thanks everyone also who helped out with the Cherry Blossom Festival the last couple weeks. I was out there last Saturday, and it was really something. San Francisco Japantown is back. It's a really very vibrant and just so exciting to feel the energy, and gives me looking forward to more Sangha gatherings. So Thanks again to everyone who's here with us this morning. We'll conclude our service at this time with Gassho and Nembutsu. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namam Dabutsu, Namam Dabutsu, Namam Dabutsu, Namam Dabutsu, Namam Dabutsu, Namam Dabutsu, Namam Dabutsu.